Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the Snob OS Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. You can't forget the then some. That is important. but but we definitely want to thank you for coming back. This is episode 299 of our Snob OS Show, and as per usual, we definitely want to thank all those who have been listening thus far. We definitely want to send a shout out to those who are supporting us financially. If you want to support us financially, please go to patreon.com/snob oscast. Show us some love there. In exchange, you'll get some extra content. You'll get access to our live show. You'll get access to exclusive content that you will not find on this show that you're listening to right now. So definitely want to send a shout out to all those folks. And we're going to get right into the show like we always do. We always start with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. So if you've been living under a rock, our next or current president was sworn in on Monday, and
MLK
Apple
Day?
on MLK, which again, it's not. Change the subject. Skipping past.
We gotta keep going. Keep going. Current task.
Current, yes.
Current topic.
And it seems like, I don't know if this was coordinated, but it seems like most, if not all, of the FANG big tech companies, I don't know if it's went out of their way, but made a point to congratulate Donald Trump during the inauguration day on Monday in DC. And of course, Tim Cook is one of those big tech companies, and he himself put a post on X, I think it was. It says, "Congratulations to the real Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance on Inauguration Day. We look forward to working with the administration to drive continued innovation and jobs for future growth across our great nation." In addition to that, I read somewhere that Tim Cook gave $1 million of his own money, not Apple's money, of his own money, to the inauguration fund that hosts all the dances and the balls, and including the inauguration ceremony that we all see on Monday. Again, Tim Cook wasn't the only person. It was Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Microsoft, and Jeff Bezos were all in attendance, and they all, in their some sort of way, I think all through social media, put out these congratulations to Donald Trump. We look forward to X, Y, and Z. Now, I didn't do any empirical research, but I am pretty sure that previous tech companies, I'm pretty sure previous big tech CEOs in the past have congratulated pretty much all the presidents, whether it be, Bush, Daddy Bush and son Bush, Bill Clinton, Obama, Trump, Biden, and then Trump again. I'm pretty sure they've all of them put out some sort of congratulatory, right? So I don't see this, on its face, I don't see it as, them necessarily, quote unquote, kissing the ring or sucking up to Donald Trump. But I will say that I also won't put it past them for recognizing that Donald Trump is the type of person that likes praise, likes adulation. And I don't put it past these tech companies to make sure this go round that he sees
implicitly.
And they do, right. And they make a larger statement because, for lack of a term, if you show him some coin, you show Donald Trump some praise, he will help you out, right? Scratch my back, I scratch your back. So do you think that this is a play by these big tech companies to say congratulations, or is this is just tradition that they all say congratulations to whomever incoming president, whether they be Republican, Democrat, whatever the case may be? Is this just tradition, or are they kind of on the sly plotting?
I think they're kissing the ring. And I say that because the statement that you mentioned that Tim Cook made, they all, from him, from Bezos, from Zuckerberg, they all rolled out at about the same time. And
Mhm.
they all basically sound the same. It was like, here, cheat off my paper, but, change some of the words a little bit, move
Mhm.
the words around. It was all the
Mhm.
same words, just some in a little bit of different order. But when I saw them popping up on my timeline, I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. Oh, this is
Mhm.
definitely, I think it was coordinated because all of them gave $1 million to the inauguration fund, which I
Okay.
think got up to like 300 million, but they
Mhm.
didn't even have, the traditional parade down the
Right,
street.
right. They had to
They
change
didn't
and get
have
to the
it.
weather.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though, other presidents have been in weather just as cold as this, but
Hey,
that's neither here nor
listen,
there.
during Obama's inauguration, me and my wife were out there amongst those sea of people
Hmm.
freezing to death.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of me and my wife warming up our hands and feet on the exhaust from the ambulance that was stationed in the area. I'm gonna go dig up those pictures. But yes,
Yeah.
when Obama
I
was elected the first time, it was mad cold out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I don't think it was, you saw rumors that it was because of crowd size, that it wasn't going to be a big crowd. So he made it inside. And I think the other thing that leads me to believe it was coordinated is because if you saw for these types of things, seating and protocol, all these things have additional meanings than just sitting in a chair. All
Okay.
of these billionaires were sitting on the front row right behind Donald Trump
Okay.
with their partners.
Hmm.
His cabinet was even behind him. They
Hmm.
had worse seats than these billionaires who
Right, right,
didn't do anything.
right.
And the other thing is, people who support him and voted for him, the members of Congress, they were either in the overflow,
Hmm.
or if they were in the Capitol Rotunda, they couldn't even bring their spouses. But here you have Zuckerberger's wife with him.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
had Bezos' fiance with him. So you
mhm.
had these people. It basically said to me, you can buy your way in.
Right.
I get why Tim Cook did what he did, and the other ones as well. It's they know who they're dealing with. It's definitely a pay to play situation, but
Mhm.
just because I get why they did it doesn't negate my disappointment,
Right,
especially
right.
in Tim Cook, because we know Bezos is definitely an opportunist. Zuckerberger is definitely an opportunist. We talked about it last week, how he went off the rails with this
Mhm.
manosphere crap. And we all know that, technically it's President Elon Musk.
Sure.
So the thing is, some people that were there,
Mhm.
you get why they're there, but it still is a huge disappointment.
Right.
Knowing what Tim Cook stands for, what Apple has stood for, even though they're
Mhm.
still standing on their DEI stuff,
Pushed back
while
against
Bezos,
the yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
even though Bezos and Zuckerberger, have all forfeited that.
And
It's
even though and in addition to that, it's I'm pretty sure it's open news that Tim Cook is gay,
Yeah.
and the Republicans and Trump is pushing back a lot of the LGBTQ rights,
On his
and
first day, he rolled back EOs
mhm,
for specifically for marginalized people on the
and
gay people, black people, Hispanic people, all the people.
right, and Donald Trump has pushed tariffs, which will run up the costs
Run
for
it up.
Apple, which will run up the costs for people who buy Apple products. Same thing with Samsung, Google. I mean, not Samsung, Google. Anybody, any American company, American-based company that produces goods, probably produces them in China. And if the tax cuts go into place that Trump ran on, then
Mhm.
that's going to affect their pockets as
Yep.
well. So I guess the question is, and then on top of the whole what's it called when the thing that you mentioned, optics, that's what it
Uh,
is. The optics of all of those tech companies being right behind Donald Trump, that photo op, that that notion that they actually support Trump as a president outside in place of this is just a business move, right? A lot of people
If you're
recognize,
accepting this, you're accepting it all.
but
To me, I don't differentiate. If you are sitting up there behind this man,
mhm.
you are down with all this shit he's doing. All
Okay.
of it.
So, I guess my point is, so you bring up a good point, right? Will people in general, regular people, will they see those optics, see those images, and Donald Trump even actually made comment, I don't know if he replied to Apple directly, but he made comment to the fact that, hey, you know, companies like Apple have pledged to invest in American jobs because I was elected president. You know, not because it's the right thing to do. So again, the position that they are in as being displayed, or characterized as for real followers of Trump,
Mhm.
is that worth the effort when in turn they, what they get out of it, partnerships, tax credits, companies are always going to try to get tax credits. They're always going to try to get costs of things cheaper. Are those possible benefits of being associated with Trump worth the optics of being associated with Trump? I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. I don't know. Time will tell because again, this guy is very unhinged and temperamental. He's one of those what have you done for me lately? Sure, you gave to my inaugural fund,
Hmm.
back in January,
It's
but
gonna be something
we're in
else.
July. What are you doing for
Yeah.
me now? It's a
Right.
never ending type of thing, and when you're have this type of narcissistic behavior, it doesn't ever end. You're on this ride, buddy. You've associated yourself with him, and he's going to be long gone out of office and whatever, and the stench of this
Mhm.
is still going to be on it. You can, and in the article that we're referencing on 9 to 5 Mac, you can see Tim Cook has this kind of straight lipped kind of look. Some of the other pictures from the other events, because he went to all the inaugurants, the
Right.
pre-lunch, the post-lunch, the parade,
Mhm.
he did it all. You can have your face turned up, like looking like you're not happy about it, but you're there.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're an active participant. So I don't care how you try and make it seem like you're not into it. Yeah, you are, because you're there and you put your money in it. My thing is when you put your own personal money into something,
Well, I think he
that's a
wanted to
statement.
I think he didn't want to, he didn't want Apple. My
Yeah,
guess is you did want Apple directly, um
linked to it.
fundraising,
Yeah.
to the inauguration, but he's like, all right, get my own money, which again, I think they kind of clash personally, right? All
Yeah.
for the reasons that I just mentioned. So
Yeah.
I do find it odd that it seems like they did go out of their way to
Mhm.
implicitly say, hey, congratulations, here's some of the, as a token of our congratulatory whatever, this is what we're going to do,
And it was
right?
probably all a part of the script. They probably negotiated all these things
Think so.
prior to. Absolutely. With
Hmm.
we'll talk about TikTok later, but the messaging on TikTok,
Hmm.
with the app went down. Yeah. All of this, I
Hmm.
think, is an orchestrated effort because what Donald Trump needs more than anything is
Hmm.
adulation and to
Right.
have celebrities or
Hmm.
rich people,
Hmm.
appearing to support him. Because again, it's about the optics for him. He doesn't care what you really feel. He has a
Hmm.
picture of you standing up there with him.
And
He
that's all
has
that
your
matters.
money, and that's all that matters to him.
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yep, that's all that matters to him.
All right, enough of that. Moving on to the next thing. It seems like Apple Intelligence summaries are in trouble. Now, I actually appreciated them, but at the same time didn't really notice they were gone until I actually read this story. This story basically that I'm reading basically says that Apple, the summaries that Apple was, that part of Apple Intelligence, one of the main features was it'll summarize text messages, it'll summarize emails. So
Mhm,
instead of you having to open up text messages and read the whole thing, Apple will summarize it for you. In addition to that, they summarize it in the notifications. So instead
mhm,
of you just opening up your text message and reading the summaries, you get that ding, you get that buzz or that vibration on your phone. You open up the phone, you see the summary, and it pretty much summarizes the entire the tone and the of that message, right? So before you can even go in and read the details, get the context, you get that ding, you pretty much know what the message says. And that
Yeah.
was causing some people some issues. Specifically, um, there was a Brazilian tennis player, Rafael Nadal. The
Hugely
summary,
popular.
yeah. The message that some people were getting, of course, and they follow news, maybe like Apple
Mhm.
News, they would get a notification, and the notification, this one specifically said, Brazilian tennis player Rafael Nadal comes out as gay. But in actuality, the message says something else, and it actually was an inaccurate summary of that message, right? And then they mentioned another one. The BBC had reported that Luke Littler, the winner of the PDC World Championship, he won it before it had been commenced. So basically, Apple's like TMZ out here telling on people and running their mouths via these text message summaries, so much so that Apple has decided, and this is this quote from a spokesperson, with the latest beta software releases of iOS 18.3, iPadOS 18.3, and macOS Sequoia 15.3, notification summaries for the news and entertainment category will be temporarily unavailable. And they say we are working on improvements and will make them available in future software updates. So basically, what happened is Apple was spilling the beans before you could actually get a chance to read it. I read another story. I remember another story to where this dude found out that either his girlfriend or his wife broke up with him via the summary. A message like that, you kind of want to read it. The person probably
You want the full
took their
context.
time. Yeah, the person probably took their time and typed out their feelings and typed out, the
The
trajectory,
reasons,
trajectory,
yeah,
and of the relationship, and what happened. And you want to read all that when you
yeah.
are on the verge of getting broken up. Nope. Apple was like, "Hey, man, she's dumping you, dog." That was
She
the
out, bro.
message. So now you're trying to pick your face up off the ground, trying to understand what's going on. Now you're reading the
Right.
message with
Now
this,
you got an
in the, right.
intense stare.
Yeah, and suspend belief because you're trying
Yeah.
to get to what happened, but you skimming the message, trying to get to the point that you spoiled it.
Know what it says, yeah. So I appreciate what the summaries were trying to do,
Mhm.
but the implementation wasn't great. I mean,
Right.
I've seen some summaries. I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Like what? Huh?" And it makes me it's not a value add because I'm even more confused. Like now I gotta go and read this and see exactly what this is because
Hmm.
this summary don't make sense.
Right.
So I can appreciate what the summaries are trying to do because I can see that as definitely being helpful, but it has to be better than what it is. So I appreciate that they recognize that this isn't working in the current form. So
Iteration.
let's roll
Yeah.
it back and let's go and improve it.
Yeah. And most of it, not most of it, a bulk of it was not just inappropriate stuff like, that's what the message is. I'm breaking up with you. So
Uh-huh.
Apple, accurately summarized the message, right? But for some of this other stuff, it was incorrect. Like
Yeah.
Rafael Nadal, being gay was incorrect. The world darts thing was preemptive. But they also mentioned that some of it was inaccurate. For instance, like the Luigi Mangione guy that
Mhm.
killed that healthcare guy,
United
Brian
Healthcare guy?
Thompson.
Yeah.
The Luigi Mangione took his own life when that is not the case. So it's one thing to just be, imposing,
Direct.
it's a whole another thing to be wrong,
Right.
So yeah, Apple's got some things to work on. Hopefully it comes back because I appreciated them.
Yeah.
All right, last thing, some positive news. It seems like we're getting closer and closer to season 4 of Ted Lasso being announced on Apple TV Plus. For those who don't know, Ted Lasso was probably the most popular product that came out of Apple TV. People loved it. They canceled it after 3 seasons, but there's been word of I don't know, a continuation or a spinoff or whatever the case may be. And the Nate character that everybody loves to hate from that show,
Nate Shelley.
yeah, he's the one that, of course, I'm pretty sure he didn't do it mistakenly.
Right.
He on a post, he also made an announcement that some of the things that he was in the process of shooting would have
Mhm.
to be rearranged because of this thing that he now has to work on, right? And
Mm.
everybody put two and two together and
Right.
assumed it was Ted Lasso 4. So now that we have a good idea that Ted Lasso 4 is coming back. I mean, what do you think it's going to be able to keep the numbers that it had because they did announce that they were canceling, and if they do kind of spin it off to where the gang isn't all here, spoiler alert, at the end of season 3, Ted Lasso goes back home to be with his
Right.
son. I mean, I
Right.
knew that was coming. He loved that loved that
Little
kid like
boy.
no
Yeah.
other. So eventually he was going to get back there. So at the end of season 3, he goes back home, I'm assuming be a coach of his kids soccer team. All the other people kind of do their own little splits, right?
Mhm.
So to me, I'm wondering if people will tune back in if the story doesn't continue with him being the coach of the soccer team and continuing with his love hate. They kind of patched things up with the
No.
Nate character who
Mm.
took over who split off and did his own thing. So I'm
Mhm.
curious if people will watch this the way they used to, knowing that possibly some things have changed.
So when Ted Lasso first came out, it only was ever intended to be 3 seasons.
Okay.
And then the popularity of it, they were like, I think Apple was surprised. I think the Jason Sudeikis and all those other people were surprised that this show took off the way it did. But they'd
Mhm.
only planned to, right? They only did the story arc through
Only
3
sold
seasons.
3 seasons, right?
Right. And so now that they're coming back, to me, the 3rd season, the last few episodes, it didn't feel like the
Closure.
it didn't I didn't like the way they tried to wrap it up. It just seemed kind of forced and not very cohesive because the first season was excellent, the second season was excellent, the third season it was kind of weird. And so I don't the magic was in this American guy coming from a football, meaning American football background, coming into to European
Rest of the
football, which
world
is soccer,
football.
right? And so I don't. It was just a unique set of chemistry that the owner had, that the coach and the players and all
Assistance and
the
yeah.
assistants, it just really it was something unique, and recapturing that magic. um I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I may watch, an episode to see what it looks like, but
Mhm.
I will at this point, just be uh reminisce about the original, versions, because anytime you try to reboot something, it usually doesn't go that great. There have been some instances where reworking the cast and the premise works, but in most instances it doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope it
Yeah.
works out, but I'm not too
Yeah, I was
optimistic.
looking forward to the gangs all here type of
Right.
season, and I don't see how they do that. Um Logistically, as far as the story is concerned. Now they can
Yeah.
do whatever they want, but as far as the story concerned, they're going to have to do a great job of weaving another st- chapter to. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's going to be focused on Ted Lasso since that's the title of the show.
Title of the show.
How do they link what Ted is doing now with what he did over in Europe? And how do we get those people right? Because I don't want to see just Ted Lasso and some new folks. I want to see
No.
the old folks.
Right.
We've grown accustomed to them, so I want to follow their
In the
stories just as
UK. I
much.
don't wanna see this in America.
Right, and they're coming over here for a friendly game or something. Yeah. So
A
I'm curious.
scrimmage. Mm.
I'm curious, but I won't be surprised if I'm let down.
Yeah. Same.
All right, so that is going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string where we talk other tech, and of course, anything anybody can talk about outside of Trump is TikTok, and they are together, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I wanted to give people, because with my own family, I've got kids that are on phones that are on TikTok, and they're like, well, what's going on? Well, I thought it was banned, and they shut it off, and then what's going on? And then Trump, and then what's going on? So I kind of over the weekend kind of did a
Mhm.
breakdown. All right, this is what happened. This is how we got here. This is what I think happened with this. So I kind of wanted to do the same thing with
Cool.
our people, is kind of give them the timeline of what is happening with TikTok and what do we think is going to happen next. So I'm gonna start at this weekend, because over the past week we have been lamenting over, will TikTok be banned? Will they go dark? What's going to happen, right? So based
Mhm.
over this weekend, starting Saturday, I think, was when
Yeah,
the
it was like Saturday
message
around 10
yeah,
in the
when the
evening.
message popped up that due to unforeseen, well, not unforeseen, due to the TikTok ban, we have to go dark. And I'm just paraphrasing the message, but everybody was getting that message that we gotta, the ban is coming. We have no choice. Then everybody assumed that since it was Saturday, everybody assumed that, okay, we got rest of Saturday, we got all day Sunday, and then Sunday night at midnight is when things are going to go into action, but it came a little bit early,
Pull
and
that trigger early.
TikTok went dark. What, late Saturday night? Is that what it
Yeah, it was like
was?
10:30, I think, Eastern.
Went dark, meaning, not because the previous understanding was when the ban goes into place, anybody that doesn't have TikTok won't be able to download it, and eventually the TikTok that's currently on people's phones was going to cease to exist, because people, specifically Apple and Google, were not being compliant with the ban. So eventually TikTok was going to go away, right? But
Mhm.
it came early. TikTok was shut down. And then maybe Sunday sometime, it didn't even last the whole day. It
Like
went like,
14 hours.
yeah, following Sunday afternoon, TikTok was back up, and it's the message. I'm paraphrasing again. It says something along the lines of, thank you to Donald Trump for making the arrangements so we can maintain service, or whatever the case may be. Again,
Mhm.
I'm paraphrasing,
Paraphrasing.
but the message specifically said, thanks to Donald Trump, we are now able to, continue service, right? So then, basically, what's happening is, now that Trump has been sworn in, now he's the actual president. He has requested that the current ban be extended for the next 75 days. And
Mhm.
any companies, TikTok, ByteDance, Apple, Google, specifically Apple and Google, because they run the Play stores that we download our apps from, if you have an iPhone and Android, none of those companies will face prosecution. So
Mhm.
since Apple has let TikTok stay in their app store, they're not going to get prosecuted, and TikTok still running won't face any sort of prosecution, right?
Mhm.
But um the ban is still on, meaning that if you don't have TikTok on your phone right now, you cannot go get it. You cannot go to the App Store, Google, Apple, and download it. If you got it, you got it. If you don't, you're out until we figure out what this ban actually means, right?
Mhm.
The final thing I wanted to bring up is, even though Donald Trump has extended the ban for 75 days while he works his magic, he there's been news about Trump being okay if Elon Musk bought it. There have been rumors that the Mr. Wonderful dude off of Shark Tank, I can't think of his real name, but the bald dude that they call
Yeah,
Mr.
I know you're
Wonderful,
talking about.
he
Yeah.
he agreed to buy it. A couple other entities have not
Larry
agreed.
Ellison from Oracle, I think
Yeah,
his name is in the mix.
they didn't agree to buy it. They agreed to have talks about the purchase. And Trump even actually floated the idea of a 50-50 type of thing, to where
Mhm.
TikTok owns 50% and this American company owns 50%. So those are the conversations that are being had between Trump and whomever who is trying to buy TikTok. But I want to note that even though the ban has been extended, Congress, the bipartisan group that pushed the ban forward in the first place,
Because
said,
Donald Trump was the one who initially launched the ban.
because, right, Congress has stated that TikTok must be sold in its entirety to lift the ban completely. So, and TikTok has said in the past, we are not selling. We are not selling. So, I wanted to get your opinion on where do we go from here? Where do you see TikTok in the next 3 to 6 months? And then ultimately, again, we'll have to ask the question, do you think TikTok will permanently be banned in the United States?
So President Biden, before he left office, said that when TikTok said they were going to go dark, it was a stunt.
Okay.
That proved to be correct. Um, President Biden also said that they wouldn't enforce prosecution of of Apple or Google if they continue to operate outside of I think the 19th, that Sunday when it was supposed to go, when the ban was supposed to take effect. He
Mhm,
essentially said, yeah, the ban is technically on. We're going to
mhm,
let the next guy handle it. But in the meantime, we aren't going to prosecute anybody,
mhm.
because, again, this happened on a Sunday before
Right,
the inauguration of a new president. And everybody wanted Biden to step in before. And it's like, how can I step in? This is a law that
right,
is on the books
right,
in this country. It
right.
went to the Supreme Court to do something, and the Supreme Court upheld the ban.
Mhm,
So the law that Donald Trump initiated when he was last president, because he was
mhm,
pissed off that Gen Z was using TikTok to inflate his numbers at his rallies, thinking that
mhm,
people were coming, the Gen Zers were using TikTok to organize. That's the
mhm.
reason why this whole ban is in place. Again,
Okay.
this guy is all about optics. He was pissed that these kids bought up all these tickets, and he thought he was going to have this massive showing at some rally, all for it to turn out to be a joke because
Mhm,
they organized on TikTok for this event.
mhm,
So that's one. Two, when TikTok went dark early and then came back 14 hours later,
mhm.
the original message had nothing to do with Donald Trump.
Okay.
When they updated the message, then it included Donald Trump. So again,
And the dude from TikTok was one of the contributors to the inauguration. He was one of the dudes sitting up there with the
sitting on
tech
the stage.
companies. Make note of that.
Exactly. Exactly. And so again, how I said previously that the messages that these other CEOs are sending out, congratulations, were very similar. Same
Mhm,
thing with him, and
mhm.
same thing with this message. It was all they were being stunt queens. They were out
Okay,
there. I think it was negotiated. It
okay.
gave Trump the
Appearance.
appearance of saving TikTok when he was the
Right.
one who banned TikTok, and to ingratiate himself with the young vote Gen Z who he's so desperate, to get. So it's one of those things where I think it's all stunts and giggles. Where it goes from here, they've already said they aren't going to sell. I think what they mean, they meaning TikTok
Mhm,
ownership, is they played into this man's ego to get what
mhm,
they want, which was the extension of the
mhm,
lifting of the ban for
mhm.
75 days. And in these 75 days, their engineers are probably working around the clock for an alternate solution that doesn't involve them selling, because
Okay.
I don't think that
What
they will
what
sell.
but what and again, that's the question that I've asked multiple times. What can because again, but you have to keep in mind the fake reason why TikTok has banned was because the Chinese government's influence over
Data
TikTok.
security and priority.
Right. They were the Congress people moved to implement the ban based on the idea, based on empirical evidence. You think of Cambridge Analytica, you think of Facebook in the 2016 election, and then again, they reference social media again, with Donald Trump's first election and how people were able to manipulate TikTok, right?
Mhm.
So Congress moved on the idea that we don't want China influencing any sort of elections, our political process. We just don't want them to be in our business at all as it relates to TikTok, right? Which you can argue how much China had involved. You can back and forth all day long about how much data did they have on us, what they were doing. You can argue that all day long. But they moved on the idea that we are going to preemptively shut down any sort of China involvement in American politics and in the as one of the Republican senators put it, like the brainwashing of our children. And I'm not going to quote it
Mm,
because he kind of, but they moved on that point, right? But
yeah.
now, fast forward to today, it don't seem like it has nothing to do with that, except the congressmen to their, I mean, I'm not going to give them a whole lot of credit, but they are sticking to their guns in the sense that no, it's not going to be no 50-50 thing. It's not going to be some sort of arrangement or agreement.
It's all or
TikTok
nothing.
has to sell off their American, we'll call them assets, whether it be the algorithm, whether it be the data, whether it be whatever it is. They have to sell that off completely to a American company, or the ban will stay into place. So I'm curious to find out what sort of arrangement, what sort of agreement that keeps TikTok in the hands, fully or partially, with ByteDance, which is the parent company,
Mm,
and this American data is in the hands of American companies on American soil and American data centers. I don't see it happening.
yeah.
So my thing is, unless these congressmen eat crow and say we
And
changed our
acquiesce.
minds, right, and amend the ban, ratify it, whatever you do,
Like,
unless
they
they
have to
do that,
revoke the law because it's written. It's on the books. It's
and
it's
if
the
you
law.
and if you do it, again, that is like you just like, we really didn't care about Chinese American data in the hands of Chinese people. We just wanted to do something that made Trump look good, which will not look good on them, in my opinion. But again, do people care?
Right. And I think another thing to note is ByteDance also owns CapCut, which I use
Hmm.
quite a bit. It
Hmm.
owns Lemon 8, which is popular as well. And it owns Marvel Snap and a couple of other things. But nobody is talking outside of
About.
people who use it. The messages that you get when you go to those apps ain't have nothing about Trump, ain't have
Hmm.
nothing. It was just like, our services down in the US, we're working to restore it. So that says to me, it's
Hmm.
not about the
It's never
data.
about the
It's
data.
not about the privacy issues or the brainwashing of America's fragile youth.
Right.
It's all about the optics on TikTok. Forget these other apps. Nobody cares about those. It's solely about
Hmm.
TikTok when ByteDance owns a bunch of other stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, and I want to say I read somewhere, I can't remember exactly where, but they're saying that in when they were originally negotiating this, that they were amenable to selling TikTok the app but not the algorithm. But the US wants the algorithm because the TikTok algorithm is better than any of these other social media platform algorithms
Hmm.
because the Chinese be over there really getting into it, especially on the algorithm side.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's why he's all buddy buddy with Zuckerberger,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
Zuckerberger, has two of the biggest social media apps, Elon, and we've seen what the algorithm looks like on Twitter. So I think him and his little American tech buddies, they were all kind of like on the same
Gonna
side because they want the
splice up
proprietary.
TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they want
Hmm.
the algorithm to be able to deploy it on their platforms.
Okay. We shall see about what happens. I mean, we you won't be able to avoid it
No, no,
between what's happening on TikTok, what's happening in the news about TikTok, and how high it has moved up on the importance of American people, which is crazy. But
not
anyway,
eggs, not housing, not
yeah, none of that.
Medicaid, Medicare,
Yeah.
none
So
of the
we'll,
things that affect people that live here. TikTok
yeah,
is the
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 number one
the number one
subject.
priority. Yeah.
Right. But that's America, I guess. All right. So that's enough for second strain. We're going to move into for the culture, where we're going to continue our conversation about TikTok, but on a different spin, right? A lot of people, I don't have the numbers, so don't ask. A lot of people voiced their concern with Elon Musk buying Twitter, by
Mhm.
leaving Twitter. They left. That was the whole debate. Where are people going? Are they going to Blue Sky? Are they going to Mastodon? Are they going to Threads? Are they going to something else? Right.
Mhm.
And then, as an extension of that, Black Twitter. Where's Black Twitter going? There's been shows, there's been articles, there's been think pieces about where Black Twitter should go. And people have kind of decided, oh, well, yeah, it is time to bet on Black or whatever. Some people going to fan base, some people are going to spill, that sort of thing. Right.
It's splintered. Yeah.
Right. It's everything is splintered. Right. So now, fast forward, now that Donald Trump is heavily involved, whether you like it or not, heavily involved with the future of TikTok. I wonder, or I want to get your advice or opinion on, should people be equally as concerned about, and I mean people, I mean Black folks,
Mm.
should Black folks be as concerned about where they go instead of going to TikTok now that Donald Trump is heavily involved in the future of TikTok? So let me rephrase another way. We
Mhm.
don't rock with Elon Musk, so we left Twitter. We
Mm.
don't rock with Trump, so now are we leaving TikTok? We've seen all of the posts about the influencers, the creators, all the people who have, either made a name for themselves or made some money off of TikTok. We've seen all of them upset besides themselves. I don't know where I'm going to get my, this is a major revenue stream for me. I don't know if I can recreate that on another platform. Please, please. Why are y'all
Mm.
messing with TikTok? Y'all don't care about the data. Y'all just cared about optics or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Let us back in. Let us back in.
Mhm.
We're in, but now again, TikTok's future is wrapped up in whatever was what's happening with Trump. So are we messing with Trump like that? And if not, do we leave TikTok, that important social media thing, or is it different?
So I think once TikTok came back online, I saw conversations that they've changed it. There are certain things you can't search for.
Mm,
It's I think them being petty. It's like, if we got to go through this exercise, we're not going to make it easy for you.
okay.
I think the overall sensibility around TikTok, especially this early, is some people feel some kind of way about how everything went down. Pause that, because it's all about the money. People
Hmm.
made so much money on
Sure.
TikTok,
Sure.
um, and they want to stay where the money is.
Hmm.
And I don't think people are going to mass exit TikTok or have those conversations about where to go to next
Hmm.
as it was with Twitter. Because the
Hmm.
thing with Twitter was, we all know how trash Muskie is
Hmm.
and what he was doing, the way he traded the algorithm, the way he
Hmm.
banned things, the structure and the way TikTok operated was completely messed up.
Okay.
The vibe is off. The vibe has changed. I don't
Sure.
think the vibe has changed as much on TikTok. I don't think people have an issue with the owner of TikTok. I don't think they like Donald Trump's involvement, but I don't think it's on the same scale
Okay.
as it was with what we got with Elon Musk. I mean, they're similar just in kind of, I think, in name only, because they're both social media platforms that have influences by Donald Trump, but the influence is different,
Okay.
vastly different between TikTok and Twitter. So I think people will probably stay, especially as long as the checks keep rolling in.
Okay.
Um, which, I mean, I get it. People got to make their money. Um, but again, you don't have to like it, but people are definitely in self-preservation mode. But I think
Hmm.
what is going to happen is, I think people are going to start to see a difference um, in TikTok, because I think they are likely going to be a bit petty in the way they move going forward, knowing that this is just a temporary band-aid. They just kick the can down the road a couple of months. So I say that people need to start an exit strategy,
Mhm.
a diversity of your content
Mhm.
strategy. You're likely, if TikTok does go away, you're definitely going to lose some things, but get your content
Mhm.
off of TikTok solely. Put
Right.
it somewhere else. What you need to be, what I think what people need to be using TikTok for now, sure, still do your content, still do your videos, but throw it on a website, throw it
Mhm.
on another app. And what you
Throw
continue
it
to
on
do,
Patreon or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what you use TikTok for is to promote
Broadcast. Yeah.
where you can find me, where you can find me. You can still find me on TikTok as long as TikTok is up. But once TikTok is gone, if you still like my content, go over to
YouTube
XYZ.
Shorts. Yeah.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Like they have options. They may not get the same payout originally as TikTok, but as things grow and change and people migrate to other places, you can start to build that back, but you can't solely rest on a singular site because you do not own the
Right.
content on that site.
Right.
It's if you upload it to TikTok servers, TikTok owns that.
Can use it for
So
whatever they want to
they
use it
can use
for.
it whatever they want to. So take your content, put it somewhere in addition to where it is on TikTok. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway because we can't control any of this. We don't know what's going to happen. These are super rich, powerful people, and they are using the
Playing
regular
games.
American people as, we're there, how we go and
Pawns.
play
Mhm.
Mario Kart or how you play uh, Grand Theft Auto, whatever. This is their version of that in
Mhm.
human form.
Right.
So protect yourself, protect your content, and be smart.
Yeah, I feel some kind of way that Trump is involved at all
Mm,
with the
absolutely,
success
because it's his
of
fault.
TikTok, right? So, also, I have the luxury of not needing a TikTok, right?
Yes.
I have the luxury of just when I'm bored, scrolling through TikTok and laughing or whatever. I don't have that
Mhm.
much at all invested, even as a method of promoting what I do,
Right,
promoting what I do. TikTok ain't a big piece of that, right?
right,
So I have the luxury to be like, yeah, man, I ain't messing with TikTok no more because Trump is involved. So I haven't deleted TikTok because I know I ain't gonna be I may not ever be able to get it back. But I for
right.
sure signed out of it because it's like I'm at a point in my life to where it's like, look, man, enough talking. You on podcasts running your mouth, you on social media running your mouth, you talking to friends and family. Now it's time to put up or shut up. Are
Yeah,
you going to stand on business, as they say? Again, I have the luxury of being able to say, yeah, you know what, man, I ain't messing with it.
I ain't doing that.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like even more than that, even more than that, leaving something that I don't like. I think I'm also at an age to where it's like, all right, I want to build or help build or, participate in the building of something that serves us.
Mhm.
Not also serves us, not, we have a piece of, not, we have some influence over. No, I want to be a part of something that serves us. Now it can serve other people too, but it serves us. And it's like, I want to be a part of the solution versus, trying
Just
to,
yammering, being a
or just trying to contort myself into
yes.
accepting
Yeah,
what is here when
yeah.
we have an opportunity. There is no better time for people, not just black folks, women, Native Americans, whomever feels like, all right, we are not getting what we want to get out of this. In my opinion, now is the time to put your money, put your mouth, put your efforts behind something that serves you because they're going to do it
Yeah.
all day long and they ain't gonna make no two words about it. They already pulling DEI back. They're already making people come back into work 5 days a week. You know who they are. They
Yeah.
are about their business and they're going
Yeah.
to do it regardless.
Regardless.
Regardless. So now, in my opinion, when everything is kind of splintered, when people have questions about, all right, where do I go? How do I feel? What should I do? Now is
Mhm.
that time to go build or support something that is solely for you. And I'm at
Yeah.
that stage now, so it's like, all right, man, I didn't signed out of TikTok. I stopped using Twitter. I'm about to start figuring out how to get off Meta, because of Zuck. I can't even say his name right no more. You didn't got
Zuckerberger.
me. Yeah, you didn't got me Zuckerberger. I'm trying to, figure out how to stop using all those properties as less, because it's like,
Uh,
yo, man, we
keep
can't
this.
keep being mad, being upset, being frustrated, and then continue on the same
Not doing
path
anything about it. Yep.
and not doing anything about it. It's like, all
They
right,
don't have
well,
any incentive to change. If
right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it can't be the world's coming to an end before we decide to make a move. No, you got to
yeah,
do that early. And yes,
yeah,
you're going to lose followers. You're going to lose influence. You're going to lose money. Again, I have the fortunate position to be like, yeah, I don't get all that,
I don't need it.
but at the same time, it's just like, all right, yes, you have millions of followers. You're making a revenue stream, but are you okay with that? Not just you telling me,
Yeah,
are you okay with building up, supporting somebody else's stuff,
yeah,
especially somebody else's stuff you don't mess with? Is
yeah.
one thing to, again, you made mention that, Trump don't own TikTok. People are okay with how things went before this whole ban came into place, but now that ain't the case no more. Trump is
Mhm.
involved, and if you don't rock with him, what you gonna do?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So that's my 2 cents. I'm definitely interested in where TikTok goes, but again, I'm already positioning myself to not be that involved.
Yeah.
All
Pretty meh.
right. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna move into the hookup where we have any sort of tech tips. And one of the things that I noticed that I definitely turned back on was the noise control settings of your AirPods. Right now, or not right now, the way the AirPods initially came out is when you decide how you want to do noise control, you have four options. You have transparency, which lets all the sound in. It's adaptive to where it adapts to your surroundings, and complete noise cancellation turns everything off to where only you can hear is the sound. Right? Those are the three. Well,
Mhm.
there's actually four. Off. Turning it off and just being regular headphones, no noise cancellation, no transparency, no adaptive, nothing, just off. Well, Apple, when they had, announced the firmware, I don't know which one, but recent firmware took away the ability for you to automatically toggle between all the different modes, including off. They took
Mhm.
off out. So by default, the only ones you get to
Three.
toggle through is transparency, adaptive, and noise cancellation. Well, my tip for the week is here's how you go back into the AirPod settings to turn off back on. And basically, what you do is, of course, you make sure your AirPods are connected to your phone. Open up the lid, which will open up the settings, the AirPod settings in your settings app. So basically, what you do is you open up the AirPods case and then go into settings and then go into the name of your AirPods. And if you scroll all the way down towards the bottom, there is an option that says off listening mode. When this is on, AirPods listening modes will include an off option. Your hearing is not protected when listening to mode is set to off. You actually have to turn that on to then be able to toggle through the different options, including off. The way I do it is I press and hold the button and it toggles between them. You can actually go into the phone and do it. But if you don't have your phone, the only way you can turn that feature off is by actually going into the settings and turning it back on. So that
Hmm.
is my tip for the week. And Nika, if you don't have anything else, I think that's
Nope.
going to do it for this week's show. Tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere. I need to open a fan base account because I don't have one. But other than that, you can find me everywhere.
And you can find me on everywhere except TikTok and Instagram at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. Again, I'm one of the people who went over to Spill, so I definitely want to shout them out. If you are looking for some place to call home on social media, check out Spill, Spill. So you can find me there. You can find our show all over the internet. If you go to snoboscast.com, it'll give you all the details on where to find us. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.